tell them first about the YouTube channel, but they can also listen to us on what we call the Brandmeister Hose line. That's hose.brandmeister.network, and you want talk group 31088. Okie doke. Now, coloradodigital.net. Please make sure you go to our website and check out all the good info there. And there is a spot for you to put a little donation in. These things do not come for free or cheaply. And we will be posting links in our ham.live as we go along, and we will try to get them in the other rooms as well. Everybody remember, this is a directed net, and what we're going to do is, first, I would like to see if anyone has an announcement that would be of interest to our group. Please come now. This is KB2IDX. All right, nothing hurt. I am going to, maybe Bucky wants to do that. I'd be happy to do it, Bucky, but would you like to read the names in the ham.live?
Yeah, let me go ahead and shift into high gear here, and I'll read a few names here and get things going. Stand by, let me pause, and I'll go ahead and we've got 39 names. Let me get started. I'm going to start with a new timeout timer so I don't time out. Try to get them all in one shot. What do you think? Okay, stand by, and I'll go ahead and read those names. All right, here we go. We've got myself and Chris, of course, and we've got W1 BKW. Brian, you came in faster than anything. And when I started Ham.Live today, you even got in before Chris. I was like, wow, man, you zipped in here. So W1 BKW, I know I got to give you some kind of prize. KF0 OTF, got you. K3 FZT, KF0 MIC, KE9 BJL, W0 AFR, AC0 XW, BE4 DBZ, KF0 OWB, KE0 SMR, NT6DX, KE0 TPW, W0 KFZ, excuse me, let me do that one. W0 KVZ, KF0 IGK, WD0 HDR, W5 GNR, KA1 CNF, AC1MT, KC8 GEF, N2 BOC, KK7 VKS, KF0 LPT, N9 DYO, 80HI, N6 PSP, N2 LLB, W5 RAG, AE 0NO, AE4WB, KC1RAY, WA2 NYY, N7EMG, KE0YK, N7KIP, W7 NEE, W5STC, and KJ5 EBU. All right, so let's, and after Justin, I still got time on the clock. Look at this. We've added Andy, K0VOH, Carl, K0GIO, KJ, oh man, KD, sometimes these are easier to do with phonetics. Kilo Delta 9, Yankee Oscar Oscar, WD0 CIB. We are going to end with Charles for now. And now that takes us up to 43. Woo, I did it. Go ahead, back over to KBQIDX.
I hope you catch your breath there, partner. Anyway, what do you have for us this evening, sir? Oh, I'm stepping on somebody's standby. Irwin, VK3, EAN. I see you were in there. Did you have something for us, sir?
Yeah, good day. No, I'm just listening. That's all. I just keyed up to listen. Hi there, Bucky, and hi there to you, Chris, and everybody. Just listening to the topics there. Obviously, I've got some interesting things that I still want to learn about. My hotspot, why it keeps cutting out. It cuts out for like a minute or two, and then it comes back to life. There must be some settings. And also, when you key up a talk group, I've asked this before, when you key up a talk group, it takes so long to acknowledge or to accept. There must be a setting to change all of this. I just don't know. I've tried Googling, but I just can't get any help. Back to you, VK3EAN.
Okay, Erwin. Well, here's what let's do. Let us get the net going here, and at one point we will have a question and answer period, and we can put you on the list, and you can bring that up, and we can tackle it that way. We do have you now logged in, and if you have a computer, you can surf over to Ham.live and join us in the chat room as well. Okay. Erwin, we'll catch you in a little bit. All right, Bucky. Back to you, sir. What have you got for us this evening? This is KB2IDX. Back to you.
All right. Today I was talking with my friend Jim. I'm trying to remember his call sign. It'll come back to me. And we were talking about, well, he was getting on the reflector. He was trying multiple reflectors, and he was putting out his call, and he didn't get anything back. I was doing the same thing today. I put out my call sign a few times. I've been gone a lot, traveling a lot, so I haven't been on the air a lot. And I got on today and put out my call, and I'm like, nothing is coming back. And I'm like, is this working? Is this working? He was thinking the same thing. Is this working? Hello? 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 Anybody there? And so we were talking about how can you tell, what are some ways to find out if your system's working? And we were talking about looking at dashboards. We were talking about Parrot. We were talking about going to different, leveraging, going over to Brandmeister DMR network and see if you're coming in that way. Looking at not just looking at your hotspot dashboard. He was wondering if his hotspot was working, if his radio was working, and all that. So I'm going to go back over to, yeah. All right. Josh says, hey, wait a minute. I came back to you. Yeah, Josh, you did come back to me. I was calling out on the radio, and Josh, KF0LPT, you did reply back to my call sign. Thank you very much. All right, I'm reading the chat room. Yeah, if you're not in the chat room, come join us in the chat room on ham.la. So, Dr. Perry, back to you, because I'm going to see tell me about what Parrot is. They'll come back. I know DMR or D-Star has a way of doing Parrot, and that's pretty cool. You can do that. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit. So DMR, when you say it's a room, DMR doesn't have any rooms, so they have talk groups. YSF, I guess there's a reflector that does Parrot, and I'll put that a little bit in the room. And that's, like you said, that's the very first choice. When you go into your hotspot and go into the list of YSF reflectors, at the very top is YSF 00001. Why is it? Okay, so remember, YSF numbers are always 5 digits. Same with WiresX. So it's 00001, 4 zeros and a 1. So that's pretty easy to remember. Everything's always 5 digits in YSF land, in Fusion land. So just go to 01. And if you transmit, you'll hear your voice come back. It'll just echo right back to you. How do we do it on DMR? I know how we choose research, so how do you do it on DMR? Back to you, KB2IDX from W0SUN.
Alrighty. Well, first, I know a lot of you like to do it by hand, but that's one I would program into my code plug. So you put that talk group in to your code plug or enter it manually, but you have to make it a private call. And that's 9990 is the talk group number. and you have to make it a private call, and it should work just fine. That's all you got to do. Just start talking, and count to 5. See what it sounds like. Back to you, Bucky. KB2IDX.
Okay, so what I looked up officially on Brandmeister, I went to the Brandmeister website and I looked up on the wiki, I looked up Parrot, and this is what I got. And if you want to look, application for doing an echo test with a call to ID XXX997. So I have a question to you. When you key up, so in this case it would be XXX. So think about USA. USA is number 310. So if you're out of the USA, there's another Parrot for another country. But so USA, so do you private call or do you do a group call? When you key up, what happens if you do a group call to Parrot? Is it the same as a private call? I don't know if you know that, but I don't know it. So which one do you do? First of all, I'm going to ask you that. And I'm kind of pretending like I'm dumb here. So, and maybe I am a little bit, but go ahead, Chris.
Well, first I have to admit I've never used that number before. The 310997. But I know with the one that I use, you've got to make it a private call. I can't tell you the reason why, but you do. It won't work if you have it on group call.
Okay, so I know there are some other Parrot talk groups, and yes, you do a private call. So if you're on a repeater and you want to see if the repeater's functioning, you can do a private call to 310997, and it should come back and echo back to you. So yes, Michael, in the USA, it would be 310997. What other, I know there's multiple talk groups out there that does Parrot. I mean, is there like 9990? Is that another one? So, yeah, yep, there it is. So, now that's interesting. So, a group call to talk group 9990. So, I'm aware of that one, but why would that be a group call and not a private call? So, I'm asking Brian, W1BKW, do you use that one, and do you do a group call on that one, or do you do a private call? I'm reading the chat room. W1BKW, over to you.
Good evening, Bucky, and those on the net. W1BKW, yeah, on IPSC2 server for DMR Plus and other connections. It's a group call. It's built into the IPSC2 server, and it's a group call. And on like our DMR Mark network, it's Hawk Group 9998, and it's a group call as well. C-bridge based. So that's what we have. Back to net control.
Okay. special groups. So I'm searching around on Wiki, and this is coming from the actual on the Wiki on the master for the USA Master Wiki. They had a lot of information. This is a really good. If you haven't read this, even if you're not on Brandmeister, this is kind of interesting. I'm going to put this link in. If you're using Brandmeister on DMR, you're going to find a lot of interesting information. So they're saying private call 9990 or 310997. And then they say Parrot group call 31000. And I guess GPS, okay, so GPS is, okay. So 310999 is not Parrot. These are applications and special groups. Interesting. So I'm trying to figure out what that means. But anyway, so basically if you want to do Parrot, I would just put this in my talk group, in my code plug. I would put 310997. Just put that one in there as a private call, and you're good to go. So that's what I would do. And I would just call it good. And if you're in a different country, it's going to be a different call. So 310 is USA. Just 310 starts with that's the USA. All the talk groups are 310, 3101, 3102, 3103, etc., etc., etc. So just remember that 310 on Brandmeister is USA. Any clarification there or any other comments there from Chris? Go ahead, Chris.
No, sir. You covered that. That's pretty good. There are other places too, though, aren't there?
Yeah, I think there are, and I'm trying to multitask here. So I know there's some really cool talk groups for Parrot, and if Dave, if you're listening, I know you know a couple, WD0HDR, because I've heard you talk about them before. I don't know what they are. I just basically choose one, and that's all I use. So for me, it's the one listed on the wiki, and this is the one I use for YSF. Let me put this into the chat room here. Yeah, let me see. Is that, yeah. So this is what it looks like when you, yeah, there we go. I got it in the chat room. So when you're on your radio, and if you use WiresX to list the YSF talk or YSF reflectors, the Parrot comes up at the top. So that's nice. YSF 0001. And if you're doing it through your hotspot, it's at the top. It's always the first one. So sometimes people put that as their startup reflector because they can just make sure it's online with their radio. They don't have to look. They just key it up and talk, and it comes right back to them. And then you can change the reflector from there. And I do a lot of reflector connections and disconnect, reconnect with my WiresX mode, even if it's on my hotspot. And WiresX mode with your hotspot works really well to change reflectors and things like that. But I always use that. There's some other ones too. There's actually some other reflectors that'll do Parrot as well. EchoLink has one. They call it EchoTest. So that's what they use. Let's see. Anybody else? I know, Erwin, you have your hand up here, and let me call on you here in just a second. Hey, Dave, are you around WD0HDR from W0SUN?
W0SUN. W0SUN. Yes, I'm around. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So I remember you and I were having a conversation a long time ago with Bud, W0RMC, and you guys talked about another Parrot out there, another Parrot DMR talk group. So, do you remember what that was? It did something more than just Parrot. It added some other functionality. And am I talking crazy, or do you remember that?
Okay, that's probably the one Valdemar put together a long time ago that I think would do the Parrot and then come back with some announcements with audio high, low, or whatever, and give you some stats back. But I haven't used that for a long, long time. Not sure if it's still even available.
Yeah, that was the one. That was, I can look that up. I know where to find it. I think Toshin wrote it in his amateur radio notes. So I think I can find it in there. But yeah, that was it. And it was a special talk group. And if you transmit, yeah, it actually speaks to you and tells you about your audio levels. That was it. And I remember having that conversation with you. Okay. So I used that one time, and I have not used it in so long. I don't even remember the talk group.
Yeah, let me go look and see if I can find where he posted that at. I'll see if I do, I'll post it over there.
Okay, so when you're doing Parrot, do you need to disconnect after you do a Parrot test? If it's a private call, do you need to disconnect? That's a good question. That's from Michael, KK7BKS. Yeah, I would do a 4000 disconnect command. I would do the 400 and disconnect from it, just like you're doing a private call. It's exactly the same theme. So if you do private calls with people or any kind of call, I would definitely go ahead and disconnect. Yeah, Ray does as well, and so Chris, they all agreed with me. So yes, I would disconnect after using Parrot. And there's another Parrot reflector. This is E0. The next one is 99999. That's 5 digits. So if you can't remember 00001, just do 99999. And that's for YSF. That's for system fusion. So you can do a Parrot test and an echo test that way. That's really cool. All right. There's a couple of others out there too. All right. Anybody else have any comments before I change it or send it over to Erwin? Because Erwin's waiting. Anybody have any comments on Parrot? Really quick, if please come down with your call sign. Erwin, if you have a comment on Parrot, stand by just a minute. I'll call you here in just a second. Anybody else have any quick comments on Parrot? Please come down with your call sign.
M7 KFE.
Okay, good. N7 KIP. Kip, it's good to hear from you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Bucky. Good to hear from you as well. I have been struggling with setting up VoidStar on my cell phone, and I can get a reply back from the mirror on Parrot. But when I pick up to a car, I don't get anywhere. I try to set it to a channel that's on one of my radios that's on a Pi-Star, and I just don't go through. But the Parrot does come back. Am I doing anything wrong with Freud-Star, or is it just I need to keep experimenting and make that work in 7KFE?
Yeah, Kip, have you tried connecting to a talk group and testing it, like this one, for example? And is that working for you? Or if it's a reflector, have you tried connecting it to this one and just putting out a test call?
Yes, I have tried that, and it doesn't work for me, but the parrot does use with this thing.
Yeah, that is confusing. How do you determine that you're not connected? For example, one test that I like to do is look at my dashboard on my hotspot, number one, and number two, go to the dashboard side to see if you're connected on that side. So sure, your hotspot says you're connected. For example, if you're going to XLX303, look at your hotspot, it'll say linked. Go over to XLX303 and look at their dashboard, and then make sure they say you're linked. So, have you done that?
Okay, I guess that's where I get a little bit, confused. It's asking me for a TGID, so I can't put in XLX. I think it's like a D-Star channel that it wants me to plug in there. And, like I say, if I plugged in 9990 and then transmitted, it comes back and says, yeah, here you are, I hear my voice. But, as far as plugging into a TGID, give me an example and I'll plug it in, maybe this channel, and, I'll see if it comes up.
Okay, so in this case, we're connected to Brandmeister, talk group ID 31088. So let me see how you're coming in. You're coming in, and on 3102, and maybe you're on 3104 and experiencing some packet loss, you might want to switch over to 3102. Or, just try experimenting and well, it appears that I timed out. Okay, I timed out. How much did you hear? Chris, back over to you.
The WPSD or with Pi Star, before I could just key up once and it would be spot on. Now you have to wait a long time, delay, in actual acceptance of that talk group. That's what I was trying to get at.